What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. It's your boy Coach Kai coming back to you with some more action, giving out some more game, dropping some more value. As always, if you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Turn those post notifications on so you never miss a new video. Greatly do appreciate all that. Without further ado, we're gonna get into today's topic. Today we're gonna be talking about how to overcome a useless addiction. As you all know, addictions can come in many different forms, fellas. So, you know, it can be lust, it can be drugs, it can be alcohol, it can be so many different things. So this is just gonna be like a generalization of like an addiction, not just, you know, drugs or, you know, lust in one specific area, but we're gonna be talking about all different types of categories. So every time I bring something up, don't take it as just, you know, one certain area or topic. You know, we're doing it as a whole. So first we're talking about is own up to it. You know, a lot of times, especially when it comes to, you know, lust or wasting time or, you know, doing the things that make us satisfied in the moment or happy in the moment, we have a hard issue sometimes to owning up to it. I cannot stress that enough. You have to own up to it in order to, you know, first take the first steps to, you know, get help that you need for the addiction. You have to own up to it. And that's something that we all went through. And if you haven't already, you will at some point in your life as a man. You know, I went through it. You know, sometimes and most of the time as, you know, men, we don't want to own up to, you know, the addiction. And just as people in general, women too. But we're talking about men today. So that's the first thing you have to do is own up to the addiction. You cannot get the help you need unless you want to help yourself. If you don't want to help yourself, you cannot be helped. As simple as that. And so I see so many people trying to help these, you know, certain types of people with things they're struggling with, but it's like they don't even have that motivation and ambition to change their own life. So how can you think, you know, they want to change? You know, it has to be in their heart. It has to be in them. If they want to get in top shape, it has to be in them to, you know, eat that chicken and rice and be, you know, structured on a proper meal plan and, you know, get a fitness trainer or whatever. It has to be in them, you know, because they have to want to take care of themselves. And that comes with anything in life. You got to own up to it in order to get the help that you need. So you can become a better man, a better person. That's the first step. Next, we'll be talking about is dispose away certain people. If you know a certain type of crowd that you've been around is just headed downhill and not in the direction that you want to, why are you even there? What is the purpose of you being there if you know you're trying to be, you know, a different area in life one day and you know you're trying to be on your grind, but that constant distraction is, you know, right by you. You're always going out with them. You're doing what you're always being around them. You always gotta, you know, you gotta start to distance yourself. I'm not saying you gotta cut them off completely, but just distance yourself. That's discipline. As a man, you gotta do that, or else you will not get far in life, fellas. You have to learn to discipline yourself and to distance yourself from others, or else you will not get far in life. I cannot express that enough. It's very important that you know, distance yourself and lock in on your purpose as a man so that you can become the greatest that you can become. You know, so you see countless people, oh, I'm comfortable here, you know, I've known them forever and this and that. And it's like they understand, those friends, they understand that you're different. You're trying to, you know, be different, but it's like they're peer pressuring you. Like, oh man, it's okay, come out with us. You know, I know y'all going through this. If not now, you will eventually. Come out with us right now, man. It's no big deal. Like, you know, it's just one night. What do you know? It's like they feel the need to. But that's when, you know, the mental comes in. That's when your mindset, the strong mental comes in. You got to be strong as a man mentally. Be like, nah, man, I got to work on that business. I'm going to work that overtime. I'm going to lock in on my grind. I'm going to get my purpose in. I'm going to hit the gym. You know, you got to do set boundaries like that, you know, because if you let people run all over you as a man, you ain't going to be nothing. You know, you going to let, if that's the case, you're going to let a woman run over you. And if you want that, go check out my last video about the simping. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you got to understand that as a man, you have to set boundaries and have discipline or else people will run all over you. Okay, just separate yourself, you know, not for, you know, years to come, nothing. I'm just saying temporarily you have to do that to certain people unless they're in the same type of mindset as you, which is very rare to find. But unless they're on the same type of purpose as you and they're not 1 foot in, 1 foot out, that's the only way. So you have to remember that as men. Next one we're talking about is shift your mindset to do things that educate yourself. So instead of doing things to, you know, instant pleasure or, you know, just temporarily stuff, you know, do things that are trying to, you know, educate yourself to, you know, learn new skills, growing a business, starting a business, do those things that are those risk taker things, that the things that people don't usually want to do, or they say it's too hard, or they say, you know, be more consistent in the gym, be more consistent with your business, be more consistent, you know, posting on social media is your thing. Like, be more consistent. Do the things. Like, it's not hard to be part of that top 10, 5% as a man. It's really not. You know, if you go to the gym 5 days out of the week, you already more on top of the 10, 5% of, you know, the world as men, because a lot of guys don't. You know, if you're in shape, same thing. So you have to take that with everything you do in life. So just remember that, like, shift your mindset to, you know, learn new things, and don't always be, you know, so closed off minded, because, you know, once you start to get different types of skill levels, you'll start to open up your horizon as a man. You'll have different attachments in life. And once you have those, the world is yours. Because a lot of guys don't have that. You know, they're not experiencing a lot of areas in life. It's like a closed tunnel. You know, you want your tunnel wide, you know, so you got to understand, the more attachments you learn, the more skills you learn, the more stuff that you know, maintain in your head, it's going to help you in the long run with whole thing called life. It's simple as that. Next thing we're talking about is find alternatives. Okay, so instead of, you know, going to you know, the gym, going to like the club or the bar, you know what I mean? Like, instead of doing things like that, go to like the gym, hang out with your family, you know, not the friends, you know, do something different for once. Go hang out with your family. Go, you know, a lot of people, if you got the family, if you're close, you know, just hang out with that one family member or that two family members, you know what I mean? Do stuff that's different. Don't always be with that same group and crowd, because that's how, you know, also as men, you know, sometimes when we hang around the wrong people and we keep doing it, over time it becomes repetition. It's like we don't ever want to leave them. So you got to switch it up. Switch your life routine up, you know, your morning routine. You know, you don't make your bed, simple as that. Start making your bed. Like, switch up your routine. I promise you will feel way better. So instead of doing the things that, you know, you feel like your mind or your heart, whatever is craving it, going out to the club, going out to the bar, say, okay, I'm going to be the opposite. You know, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to, you know, hang out with my family. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to work that overtime. You know, put your purpose first. That's what people mean by putting your purpose first, putting you before others. Sometimes we have to be selfish in order, as men, we have to be selfish in order to get to where we want to get to. If you cannot be selfish sometimes as a man, I'm not saying in a negative way, then we will stay stagnant and we will not progress in life. As simple as that. If you cannot put your purpose before yourself, you know, put everything else behind, put your purpose and yourself first, you will not get far. And it's simple as that. So always remember that, fellas. Next thing we're talking about is learn about the addiction you have. You know, if you understand, like, you faced it, like I talked about the first topic, you faced it, right? You know, try to find somebody who's going through the same thing. You know, you know, educate yourself on it, so you can get different topics about, oh, how'd you do this? How'd you overcome this? How'd you do that? That also helped me, you know, when I've had, you know, different addictions in the past. You know, like when I, you know, owned up to it. You gotta do that. Those are the things you have to do. And those things that's gonna help you in the long run, and not only get over it faster, but, you know, just learning about the different addictions like that. You know, you have to do these things. It's baby steps. So keep people around you that, you know, are kind of going through the same thing, but are actually also trying to change, you know, not just staying stagnant, or they're like, oh, you know, I'm holding off on it, or I'm going to quit smoking next week. I'm going to do this week, you know. No, quit today. You know, we want today. Okay, so always remember that. We want today quitting. We don't want tomorrow or the next day or next week, because it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. So always remember that. Keep those types of people around you so that you can, you know, pick their brain on different stuff, especially if they've already, you know, had a drinking problem or alcoholic, and you understand and you face the feeling that you have that, you know, educate them. You know, pick their brain on stuff. How'd they do this? How'd they overcome that? You know, that's very helpful. You know, be a student. Be a student with everything in life. But when it comes to addiction, definitely be a student. Because it's like, you know, your life is on the line. You know, it's simple as that. You don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste your life away. So just always remember that, fellas. But that's going to be it for today's video. Make sure you follow my IG, Coach Nakai, down below. I'm gonna leave it down in the comment section. If you need your meal plans, your workout plans, anything, holler at me. You know, we getting shredded, we getting ripped up for the summer, trying to look good on Miami Beach. Make sure y'all click that subscription, and I'm gonna get y'all right. Without further ado, we out. Peace.